Jada Wilson, a 47-year-old black woman, walked into a place and felt invisible. It wasn't a philosophical feeling of being insignificant. It was the literal sensation of standing there, fully grown and breathing, yet unseen. That was her experience today. Ironically, this wasn't just any hotel. This was one of the most prestigious properties in the hospitality empire she had painstakingly built. It was a 5-star establishment where guests were treated like royalty. A single night's stay cost more than some people's monthly rent. Yet, here she was, standing at the front desk, waiting to be acknowledged like an unwanted stray. This wasn't a casual visit. Jada had been receiving a steady stream of complaints about this particular hotel. Guests reported being treated like second-class citizens. Staff exhibited attitude problems. Rooms were mysteriously unavailable for certain customers. She could have handled it in the usual corporate way. She could have called the manager, scheduled an internal audit, and used corporate jargon to address the issue, hoping it would resolve itself. But Jada knew better. Problems like this didn't simply disappear. They needed to be exposed. So, she arrived unannounced. No suit, no limo, no entourage, just another guest checking in for the night. That's when she witnessed her own company's world-class service firsthand. The front desk was staffed, technically, by a blonde woman in her 20s named Kim. Kim's entire body language screamed indifference. She leaned back in her chair, phone in hand, texting or scrolling, actively avoiding eye contact. Jada waited patiently. She cleared her throat. Nothing happened. She tapped the desk. Still nothing. Finally, Jada said, "Excuse me." Kim let out a loud sigh, the kind reserved for people who dared to interrupt her apparent inactivity. She finally lifted her gaze, blinking as if Jada had materialized out of thin air. All she said was "Yeah, not welcome to our hotel, or how can I help you?" It was just "yeah," as if Jada was an inconvenience. Jada kept her voice calm. "I have a reservation under the name Jada Wilson." Kim barely concealed a smirk as she turned to her computer. She began typing with the enthusiasm of a sedated sloth. "Machem, yeah, nope, don't see it." Jada raised an eyebrow. "You sure about that?" "Pretty sure," Kim replied, not even looking up. She went back to scrolling on her phone as if the conversation was over. That's when Jada knew it wasn't a mistake or a system malfunction. This was deliberate. Kim had taken one look at her and decided she wasn't worth her time. Jada sighed, maintaining a neutral expression. "All right, check again." Kim rolled her eyes but humored her, tapping lazily at the keyboard. "Nope, still nothing." "Sorry." She didn't sound sorry, she sounded bored. Jada calmly pulled out her phone and scrolled to her confirmation email. "I have my booking right here." She held up the screen. Kim barely glanced at it. "Yeah, well, the system doesn't lie." "Neither does my damn email," Jada retorted. Kim let out another exaggerated sigh. "Look, sir, maybe you made a mistake. It happens. Maybe you booked the wrong location. Happens all the time." Jada tilted her head. "You saying I'm lost?" Kim gave her a condescending smirk, the kind people use when they think they're talking to an idiot. "I'm saying it's an easy mistake to make." Jada clenched her jaw, inhaling slowly. "And if I wasn't lost? If my reservation was here all along?" Kim shrugged. "Then I guess the system glitched." Jada knew this system. It didn't glitch, people did. And something about Kim's refusal to look her in the eye, her unwillingness to double-check, the ease with which she dismissed her, Jada had seen this before. This wasn't about a glitch, it was about her. Kim had decided in 5 seconds that Jada didn't belong there, that she wasn't worth proper service, let alone a second glance. Jada had experienced this silent rule of customer service before, where some people's mistakes were corrected, and others were conveniently ignored. Usually, she let it slide, choosing her battles. But today was different. Jada pulled out her second phone, the one with full access to the internal system. She tapped in her credentials. Sure enough, there was a reservation, booked and confirmed. Then, curiosity getting the better of her, she checked the activity log. Reservation manually deleted. Deleted by Kim, front desk clerk. Bingo! Jada glanced up at Kim's name tag, suppressing a smirk. Kim, she said. Oh, this was going to be fun. She inhaled deeply, forcing a smile. Tell me something, Kim. Kim hummed, tapping away on her phone again. What happens when you delete a reservation? She barely looked up. Oh, it just removes it from the system. No big deal. Jada nodded. And who has the ability to do that? Kim shrugged. Only front desk staff, obviously. Like yourself. She blinked. Yeah. Why? Jada tapped her screen one last time, pulled up the log, and turned the phone around. Kim's eyes flickered to the screen. For the first time that night, she looked nervous. There it was, her name right next to the deletion. Kim swallowed hard, her face losing a little color. Jada leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. So tell me, Kim, why did you delete my reservation? Kim's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. For the first time all night, she looked completely speechless. Jada smirked. Oh, this was going to be one hell of a night. Jada had seen a lot in her life, but this was a whole new level. She stood there, watching Kim try to pretend she wasn't absolutely terrified. Jada almost felt bad for her, almost. But no, Kim had dug this grave herself, and now she was going to lie in it. Kim kept blinking at the screen, her fingers twitching as if she wanted to undo her digital crime. But there was no back button for this one. I didn't, Kim started, but Jada cut her off. Don't even try it, Kim. The way Kim flinched was beautiful. Save it, Jada interrupted again. Kim clamped her mouth shut so fast Jada almost laughed. She took a step back, inhaled deeply, and calmed herself. Honestly, she wanted to explode, to let everyone in the fancy lobby know what had just happened. But not yet. This needed finesse. Instead, she leaned on the counter and smiled. Here's what's going to happen, Kim. Kim gulped. You're going to find me a room right now. Kim hesitated, but when Jada just stared at her, she scrambled to type. Jada could hear the shaky tapping of her fingers on the keyboard. Okay, Kim muttered. Speak up, Jada commanded. I found a room. Of course, you did, Jada thought. Kim grabbed a key card and shoved it across the counter without making eye contact. Here you go, sir. Jada didn't touch it. Which room? 1427. Jada sighed. The worst room in the building, huh? Kim froze. See, she thought she was slick. Room 1427 was by the elevators, next to the maintenance closet, with a glorious view of the dumpster out back. Jada knew every room in this hotel, she had designed the floor plan herself. This was textbook pettiness. Kim, Jada said, tilting her head, do I look stupid to you? Kim's face twisted. No. Then why are you trying to play me like I don't know exactly what you just did? Dead silence filled the lobby. Other guests had started noticing the tension. A couple on nearby couches glanced over, pretending not to eavesdrop. A bellboy in the corner suddenly became very interested in adjusting his little hat. Jada slowly picked up the key card. "Thanks, Kim." With that, she turned and headed for the elevators. But this wasn't over, not even close. The second she stepped into her room, Jada pulled out her laptop. This was her hotel, her empire, and someone had the audacity to treat her like a nobody. It was time to do some digging. First, she pulled up the hotel's internal records. She checked staff complaints, guest complaints, manager reports, anything tied to this location. And guess what? Kim's name was everywhere. Front desk agent dismissed a guest complaint without logging it. Guest reported racial discrimination at check-in, staff involved, Kim. Kim refused service to a guest stating hotel policy but did not provide documentation. Kim involved in multiple disputes with guests over system errors affecting reservations. Oh, she wasn't just bad at her job, she was actively malicious. And yet, she still had this job. Jada scrolled further and found her answer, the manager, Stephen Lane. A spineless corporate yes-man who probably avoided confrontation at all costs. Translation: Kim had been a problem for a long time, but no one had the guts to fire her. Which meant Jada had to do it herself. Jada strolled back to the lobby, taking her sweet time. Kim was still at the desk, probably thinking she had dodged a bullet. Wrong. Jada walked right past her and straight into the manager's office. She didn't knock, she didn't need to. Stephen Lane, a middle-aged guy with peaked in high school energy, looked up from his desk and immediately panicked. "Ms. Wilson." What a surprise. Jada shut the door behind her and leaned against it. "Cut the Stephen. We need to talk." Stephen swallowed. "Of course. What can I do for you? You know what's happening at your front desk?" Jada asked pointedly. Stephen blinked. Well, I think everything is fine." "Wrong answer," Jada said, crossing her arms. "I just had my own reservation deleted by one of your employees." Stephen turned pale. What? Who?" Jada grinned. "Take a wild guess." Stephen opened and closed his mouth like a fish. It was Kim, wasn't it?" "Ding, ding, ding," Jada confirmed. Stephen winced. "Listen, Ms. Wilson, I was going to handle it, I swear. But she's been." Jada held up a hand. "Shut up, Stephen. Shut up." Jada took a deep breath, letting the silence hang. "You've had complaints about her for months, maybe even years, and you did nothing." Stephen looked like a man facing his own execution. I thought maybe she just needed more training." "Training? Training?" Jada laughed, actually laughed. "Dude, this woman isn't some confused intern who forgot how to use the damn software. She's a problem, and she's your problem." Stephen looked like he wanted to melt into the floor. Jada let out a long breath and nodded. "So here's how this is going to go down, Stephen. You're going to walk out there, and you're going to fire her. Right now. In front of everyone." Stephen's jaw dropped. "Right now?" "But right now," Jada emphasized. Stephen hesitated, then, realizing there was no escape, he nodded. And so, 2 minutes later, the entire lobby watched as the hotel manager walked up to Kim and dropped the hammer. Kim tried to argue, tried to cry, tried to say it was all a misunderstanding. It didn't matter, her career at this hotel was over. Jada stood nearby, watching the whole thing with a satisfied smirk. As Kim stormed toward the exit, throwing one last hateful glance over her shoulder, Jada just smiled. Tonight, justice had been served. And the best part? Kim still had no idea who she really was. Jada watched Kim storm out of the hotel, her face twisted in a mix of anger and humiliation. And damn, it was glorious. Justice had been served, and yet, something about it still wasn't enough. Maybe it was the fact that Kim had no idea who had just wrecked her career. Maybe it was because firing one employee didn't fix the real problem. Jada wasn't just there for revenge, she was there to fix her empire. Stephen, still looking like he needed a stiff drink, turned to Jada, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I handled it," he said weakly. Jada smirked. "No, Stephen. I handled it. You just stood there looking constipated." Stephen let out a nervous chuckle, as if Jada was joking. She wasn't. "You know, I could fire you too," Jada continued, her tone casual for letting this hotel turn into a customer service nightmare. Stephen swallowed hard. I swear, Ms. Wilson, I'll fix everything." Jada raised an eyebrow. "That's cute, but you won't be fixing Steven." "I will." With that, Jada walked out. By now, the lobby had settled into an awkward hush. Guests were trying not to stare, but come on, this was free entertainment. She headed straight for the front desk and leaned over the counter, looking at the remaining clerks. "Listen up," she said. "Things are about to change around here, fast." A young guy, maybe in his early 20s, nodded quickly. "Yes, ma'am." Do you work for corporate?" Jada grinned. "Something like that." She grabbed the hotel phone and dialed a number. The line clicked. "This is Wilson," she said. "Shut this hotel down for a full-scale audit. I want every guest compensated, every complaint reviewed, and every employee reevaluated. If they can't cut it, they're gone. Effective immediately." The entire staff froze. "Wait," one of the clerks stammered, "You're..." Jada pocketed her phone and smiled. "Yeah, I'm that Jada Wilson." Silence. One woman gasped. The young guy's eyes widened to the size of dinner plates. Stephen looked like he was about to pass out. Jada straightened her jacket, enjoying every second of it. "Now, if you'll excuse me," she said, heading toward the elevator, "I have a business to clean up." And with that, she was gone. The second Jada stepped into the elevator, she could feel the tension in the lobby behind her, the weight of realization hitting everyone like a truck. She could almost hear their thoughts. Oh, that was the Jada Wilson. As the door slid shut, she smirked. Perfect. By the time she reached her suite, her phone was already buzzing. Corporate, her board of directors, probably Stephen begging for mercy. She ignored them all. Let them sweat, let them wonder. Instead, she pulled out her laptop and logged into the system. First order of business, cleaning house. Kim, blacklisted. She wasn't just fired, she'd never work in any of her hotels again. Stephen, hanging by a thread. He'd get one last chance to prove he wasn't a total waste of space. Then, she pulled up the guest complaints. Some of these people had been disrespected, ignored, flat out mistreated. That wasn't just bad business, that was personal. Jada made damn sure every single one of them was refunded, comped, and given VIP status for their next stay. Because that's how you run an empire. A knock at the door. Stephen. His face was white as a sheet. "Ms. Wilson, please, I had no idea." Jada leaned against the door frame, arms crossed. "That's the problem, Stephen. You had no idea what was happening in your own damn hotel." Stephen gulped. "I can fix this, ma'am, I swear." Jada tilted her head. "You fired Kim?" "Yes." Stephen nodded furiously. "Just like you asked." Jada smirked. "Good. Now pack your things." Stephen froze. "What?" "You heard me. You're done." You let this place rot under your nose. You should have cleaned it up before I had to. Stephen's face fell apart. But Miss Wilson, please, Jada clapped him on the shoulder. Relax, Steve. I'm sure there's a motel somewhere that'll love your leadership skills. Stephen staggered back, speechless. Jada shut the door in his face. No more second chances. Not in her empire. She poured herself a drink, sat back, and exhaled. The hotel would be better. The business would be stronger. And the next time some front desk clerk thought they could pull that kind of stunt, they'd think twice. Because now, everybody knew who she was.